Welcome everybody to Tonepriest. Very Merry Christmas to everybody. Today is Christmas Day. I am here in the Tone Church working away on some kind of gizmo. What are we doing today? We're going to build this Rob Robinette designed sort of a modified clone of a Soldano Super Lead Overdrive, or SLO. We're making the SLO Naked 6v6 version. If that sounds interesting to you, hang tight, here we go. So what is a Soldano SLO, or Super Lead Overdrive? Well, back in the mid-80s, Mike Soldano was a person, like many other of his colleagues, was modifying Fenders and Mesa Boogie amps. And back in the day, the players were trying to get more and more gain, but the amps of the time just didn't have it. So that's where all these modders came into. We talk about the Jose modded Marshalls and things like that, and Rivera. And Soldano was one of the people as well that was modifying existing amps to get more gain for the heavy metal that was coming out in those days. So he set out to make a hand-wired, hand-built amp that was from the factory, just a real gain monster, a real beast, with cascading gain stages, really precise EQ, and tight low-end response, right all in the box. Many famous users that used the Soldano. Van Halen used it for the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge album. George Lynch, Mick Mars, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Eric Clapton, Mark Knopfler, Gary Moore, Warren Haynes, and Martin Barr of Just Hotel, believe it or not. So, yeah, it's a very famous amplifier, and it basically inspired all of the modern high-gain amps like Diesels and things like that. They all have DNA from Mike Soldano's original build of the SLO. All right, here we are. We are joining this video, already in progress here. You guys may have already seen this. I think I made a video. Well, I definitely made a video about this. I probably have uploaded it already. This is the turret board that we built for this very project. We got this chassis. I bought it off of Reverb. I'll put the seller's name on the screen here. If you want to get one of your own, he'll make anything you want, and it's very good. It's very nice. It has this nice white plastic coating on the outside, so we can draw on it. And that's what we're doing right now. We're kind of drawing out the layout. We have this right here. This is going to be the hole for the power transformer. We're going to put the choke on the inside, output transformer, 2 6v6s, 4 12AX7 preamp tubes, all the potentiometers. We're going to have a switch, on-off switch. We're going to have an indicator light. We're going to have an IEC power connector and mains and B+ fuses here. And yeah, that should do it. It'll come together as we start bolting crap to this chassis. But that's where we're at. I need to order a handful of parts to complete this project. So I'm just adding those to my cart from Amplified Parts as I go along. But we have enough stuff here to start the build. Pretty much have the layout figured out, so we're going to cut the hole for the power transformer with the trusty Black & Decker here. I'm going to start by drilling a 1/4 inch hole or 3/8 hole with a drill, and that'll allow us to get our blade in there, and then we'll take this guy and then we'll do the same for the IEC connector back there. What else? Nothing comes to mind. Oh, this kit. I don't know if it was a kit or if all the parts were kind of selected. One of my OG Patreon supporters a couple years ago sent me most of this stuff, not the chassis, but sent me all the transformers and all the passive components and a bunch of hardware to make this project. I did buy other stuff, parts manufactured by manufacturers that I am more familiar with and that I like the quality of. We'll use what we'll use. We'll figure that out when we get there. But big thanks to him. And yeah, that's where we're at. Okay, so let's get to work here. Let's cut these holes. Once we have all our transformers installed, that will allow us to see exactly where we want to put everything else. And it'll all come together and it'll be awesome. All right, hang tight. Here we go. All right, you want some action shots? We drilled a hole for the black and or decker. Here we go. Can you see that? Oh, you can't see shit. My arm's going to be in the way. How about now? Get some light here. I hate this part. Alright, that's the first cut. It's just going to be more of that. Hang tight. You don't want to watch that and listen to that. Alright, I forgot to do the YouTube amp mechanic disclaimer at the beginning of the video. Nobody should work on tube amps ever for any reason at all, forever, for any reason, because it's freaking dangerous. But anyway, here's our hole for the belt of our power transformer, and this makes a friggin' mess. Look at this. Safety third, wear protective eyewear when you're working on amps, even when you're soldering. I wear prescription glasses, and the amount of flux splatter that end up on my lenses, which would otherwise end up on my eyeballs, is not insignificant. Alright, let's find this power transformer and see how we did. Boom! There she is. Oh, it's in backwards. Shit. I think the bells are just about the same size, so that should be good. And that's probably the best transformer knockout I've cut ever. Came out pretty good. Made a little template for the screw holes. So we'll match that up with that. And mark where the screw holes go. These are 832 screws. These, I believe, are Triad USA transformers. So, where's the other one? The, again, no, not that one. Is it this one? Big dent, yeah. Again, we got dents on the bells of our transformers. Seems to be a recurring theme around here. What was I doing? Screw holes. Alright, let's do that. Screw holes. Where are ya? Quiet down. We got John Nathan Cordy in the background there, jamming out on a katana. Boss katana. Drywall screw, hammer. Make some little marks for our power transformer mounting screws. Okay. Alright, so that's that. This is an aluminum chassis, which is nice. Every other time that I've done this, it's been with a steel chassis, which is not the most fun to work with. And we're going to want to measure twice and cut once. Make sure that lines up. That looks good. Interesting. Alright. Oh, yeah, and these mounting screws got bent too, so that's going to cause problems. We're going to have to make oversized holes for this. But that looks pretty good. As does that. I'll try and straighten out these screws without destroying the threads as best I can. But I'll do that after I cut the holes, because maybe we'll have to bend it in another direction to get it to slide in.
That's what she said. No.
But okay, so if you do this at home, not that you should, but if you did, you're going to want one of these things, so you can know what size holes to drill. Very handy, inexpensive, widely available. Alright, hang tight. Where the hell are all these gray hairs coming from? Must be the tone none. Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Never have I ever said that's hot in an inappropriate context.
Woo! That is a hot aluminum chip. All right, we want, what do we want? Hold, please. All right, this is a number 8 screw. We want 11/64s, but we don't have that drill. So I think we're going to go with 3/16, which is fine because it's good to have a little bit of extra space, because these things almost never line up perfectly. So let's do that, 3/16. All right, there you have it. One of the screw holes was off a little bit, but once we tighten it down, it'll settle into place. It'll all work out. There, that's the first hardest thing to do. The second hardest thing to do is the IEC plug. It's basically more the same of what we did for this, but on a smaller scale. So let's do that. All right, I'm using an old green bean thing here, container, to make a template for our IEC knockout. This is the one that got sent with all the parts from my Patreon supporter. And it fits in the hole that I made, 19 by 26, perfectly, but I was thinking, oh, wait a minute. This is held in place by those little tabs, and it might be too narrow. It might work. Yeah, actually, I think it would work. But I prefer to have a one that's secured to the chassis by screws, and I think I have some in stock, so let me see if I do. All right, yes I do. I have ones in stock that are secured with holes, and I don't need to make a new template because it fits in the 19 by 26. And so yeah, we'll do that. We'll put this up to the back of the chassis, mark out the hole, and then cut it out. Well, there she is. That was way harder than it needed to be, and it ain't the prettiest thing in the world. I gotta deburr the edges, obviously. But once everything's all said and done, she will be just fine. This is facing up towards the ceiling. We want our equipment grounding conductor facing towards the ceiling, in case, you know, this is plugged in and the plug is loose, something falls down, it's gonna hit the green wire instead of the live wires down here, which is a little bit safer. Things happen. Safety third. Whew. All right, I'm going to catch my breath, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do next. Oh, we got to cut some holes. For the screws, I think we're using 440s for that, and then I'll catch my breath. All right, Happy New Year, everyone. It is January 1st, 2026. Where are we at here? We got about as far as we can go assembling this turret board. We've taken some pieces out. We need to order some parts. I'm going to order all the resistors. I need to buy the resistors. And I bought or selected almost all Vishays. There's a couple of Yagios as well. 1 watt resistors for just about everything. So those will be in probably next week. Now we're adding the jumper wire. So, if you look up here, we have this ground bus. Get out of here. Ground bus, and like we did on the high watt, on the lower level, we're putting the ground bus wire. And I'm coming over here now, and I'm planning ahead the ground scheme. It's going to be a little bit different than what Rob has here. He's got, I believe, all of the filtering grounded together. We are not going to do that. I'll go through the ground scheme that I land on at the end because it's still a work in progress. But I want to separate the first node, the reservoir node, as it were, from the rest of the preamp, ground it at a different spot. But we'll go over that later at the end. But anyway, we need a link here between our heater elevation and this first filter node here. So we're going to put a bus wire here. And if you're doing something like this with a layout, you know, don't just color by numbers. Look at your schematic, match it up with the layout, so you can understand what you're doing. So for example here, we have the 2 positives. Oh, did I say this is a ground? I'm sorry. Got 3 things going on in my mind at once. The ground's up here. We are putting these 2 capacitors in parallel, and we're linking it up with this 360K resistor. And, you know, don't just trust the layout. Make sure it makes sense with the schematic. So we come off the rectifier diodes, come up here, and we should have our 2 80 microfarad caps in parallel, which is also in parallel with this divider network. And just, you know, make sure it makes sense, and this will help you understand how amps work better as well. And yes, we do. We have the 2 80 microfarad capacitors in parallel, which is also in parallel with this divider network, which is elevating the heater voltage supply by putting the center tap above ground. All right, and that's got some filtering here as well. So hopefully when all is said and done, this will be a nice quiet amp, and it'll run good, and the music it makes will be beautiful. But yeah, that's what we're doing. We've got our bus wire. I think this is 16 gauge. What does that say? It's 100 feet of it anyway. And that's what we're doing. Putting all of our buses where they belong. And I really like these, I don't know if we're going to be able to see this, these multi-level turrets. They have a bottom, a middle, and then the top. And I'm putting the bus wire on the bottom level, as seen there. Making sure it's nice and taut. And it's all straight. It looks pretty. We should be good to go. So that's what I'm doing. Alright, take everything I say in this next clip here with a grain of salt. What we're trying to do is find the foil end of our capacitors here. And I don't know if this is a valid method, but I think it's okay. So we connect our capacitor up to our oscilloscope probe in one orientation. And we take it over here, and, well, he's not charging anymore, but we put it next to a device that is on a charger that's charging. And we measure the amount of interference we get. Then we reverse the probes and do the test again. And we see if there was more or less interference in that orientation. Whichever orientation the ground was at when we had a less amount of interference measured on the scope, that would be the foil end. We're putting a little dot on there. All right. You can tell me below if this is a valid method of doing this. Here's our little dot, if you get in focus. But I think it's okay. This is valid, right? We can do this. This is what I did when I built that high watt, and that amp is super quiet, you know, and it's not shielded. It's not in a head cabinet with shielding or anything. It's just out in the open here next to all this interference. And it's pretty damn quiet, guys. So I think this is valid. But what I noticed is, in the high watt build, they gave us all Mojo Dijon capacitors, which are supposed to be electrically equivalent to the old mustard caps that were used in vintage British amplifiers. I think these Mallory 150s I'm using for this one, I'm measuring a lot less interference, and flipping the polarity of the probe, there's very little difference between, you know, one orientation or the other. I mean, there's a difference, but it's very slight. So I don't know how important, you know, if you're using Mallory 150s, how important putting the foil end towards the path of least impedance is. Should be all right if you just pop them in. We kind of want to do that. Rob marked them all out here on his layout. Kind of want to do that on a high gain amp, if possible, so that's why we're doing it. But yeah, there you go. Mallory 150s, they're smaller than the Mojos, and they, if this method is valid, and I'm doing everything correctly, they seem to be less susceptible to, stray outside interference. So, for what it's worth, that's where we're at. What the hell, guys? I had a really nice wood-handled toothbrush that I like to use to clean stuff with alcohol, and I had a nice hog's hair brush as well that you can use. It's stiff. You really get flux off of circuit boards and stuff. I don't know where the hell this crap went. It's just gone. I mean, I don't want to blame the tone nun, but I really don't want to blame myself. But who knows? Maybe the tone nun's brushing her teeth with a hog's hair brush. Anyway, we're running out of stuff we can do until the parts arrive. But one thing we can do is, if you watch all the old NASA soldering videos and YouTube videos about mil-spec and stuff, step one is always cleanliness. So we're going to grab a toothbrush and some of our 99% isopropyl alcohol, and we're going to clean all the turrets. These are all the bus wires, just 3, I guess, for this one. Looking all nice. So we're going to clean that up, and then we are going to sit here patiently until parts arrive. So I guess we'll use this brush here. There you go. Okay, while we're still waiting for parts here, I noticed that we missed a jump from, this is where your diodes for the B plus rectification go, and this is the B plus output to the filtering. I missed this jump from here to here, and while I was thinking about it, doing it over, I was thinking about the bus wire I'm using, and this is 22 gauge. It's a little bit too thin. And the other bus wire I have is 16 gauge. I had 22 from here to here to here. I replaced that with the 16 gauge. That's a little too thick. So I need to order some parts for stock, but this will be fine. The 16 gauge is about as thick as you can get and still have it work. Still have to be able to work with turrets. So that'll be fine for our high B plus voltage right there. I'm going to order some 18 gauge. That would be just about Goldilocks right. 22 is a little thin. Yeah, 18 gauge would be better. So I might order that and replace that. And that's the thing about these videos I'm making here, especially like building an amp. If you just watch, the first few minutes, what I say I'm going to do may not be what actually ends up what I end up doing by the end of the video. So this isn't my way of getting you to watch, the whole video. It's just take that into consideration that things change as we move along and we learn things and we come up with better ideas and blah blah blah, you know what I'm saying. So that's that. There you go. Disclaimer. Rock on, dudes. Alright, fellas, let's get on the perpendicular here. It's the next day, and this guy showed up. This is our used Greenlee chassis hole punch. Oops, that we're going to damage the chassis with. It should punch a nice hole for these guys here. I totally forgot to order the parts last night, so I'm going to have to order them over the weekend. Hopefully they all show up before next weekend. Mouse is pretty good. If I order stuff over the weekend, it'll show up by Thursday or Friday latest. Amplified parts used to be really good too, but they're slacking, or maybe it's the postal service. If I order over the weekend, sometimes it doesn't show up until, a week and a day, the following Monday. But whatever, we'll get it done when we get it done. We're not going to use this guy. This is what came in the box of stuff from the Patreon supporter. Got to order some more of these guys here. And we're going to use this guy. Yeah, if you're into this kind of thing, you build amps. And, you need to punch hole, 2 socket holes in chassis. This tool right here will change your life. And I'll show you how to use this in a little bit. Yeah, get that. And one of these as well. A deburring tool. These 2 tools right here will make you a happy man or woman. Or boy, or girl, or giraffe, or whatever. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm tired, guys. But I think that's what this is going to look like. We're going to put this guy here. It has a 4 ohm and an 8 ohm winding on the output transformer. So I was going to put a ohmage selector switch, but we're running out of real estate here. Also, yeah, that's that. I think this should be alright. Probably should have got a little bit bigger chassis. But this is what we got, so fingers crossed, fellas. Make it work.
Make it work. Make it work.
Alright, once you punch holes, big giant holes in the chassis, you gotta live with it. So this is something you really want to measure twice and punch once. So yeah, these guys, the big octo sockets are going to go up from the bottom. And they should fit in there nicely. And these guys will sit on top. This is the punch for those. And it should look like this guy here that I did a while ago. This is a project that kind of went south. Yeah, see, it goes up from the bottom. Looks real nice. And that's the same punch I use for those, and that's it's about perfect. So this should be okay. Doing a lot of finger crossing today, fellas. Alright, so what's the process? How does this work? Alright, we've carefully measured and marked up the chassis where we want our tube sockets to go. Next, we're going to drill pilot holes in those spots, and then once the pilot holes are drilled in, we're going to enlarge those holes to accept our chassis punch bolts. This is the new one, the big one here, and that's a hex head. And this is the old one, which is a square head. So you kind of need square sockets to make that work. But they're the same size screw. They are both 3/8 screws, same thread. So we can either use a box wrench on the square-headed one or socket wrench on the hex-headed one. Whichever one works better for us. So first things first, pilot holes, 3/8 inch holes, and then I'll check back in with you when we're ready to punch. Alright fellas, can you see all that? We have our 6 3/8 inch holes. Let's start with the big one. So, on your chassis punch, you got a bigger cup set piece, and then the smaller puncher piece, pointy piece. You want the cup piece to be on the underside of the chassis, because this lip will leave tool marks, or it will mar the surface. So, this is going to go like this. So, and like so. Let me in frame. Go. Beautiful. Fellas, you guys have been watching me cut all these holes, hole punches, drilling holes, cutting out sockets for the power, building this board. Anybody notice something wrong with this whole setup we got going on here? Nobody said anything to me? Hey, tonepriest, you effing this up? Yeah, we're, the genius over here, forgot to, engage his brain and identify that the fact that the layout is looking at the chassis like this, not like this. So everything's backward. But that's okay, because we have this now, which is a mirror image. How about that? Which is fine, because if this comes out good, I have a feeling we'll be using this guy at a later date. Yeah, so this is going to be a mirror image, and if we make this one right, we have 2 mirror image amps. That's really the only way to get true stereo. Right? Or am I just talking crazy? Yeah, so that makes everything fun. So we reprinted the layout in chirality, like this. So now we're cooking again. So I'll put this guy like so. I was like looking at this going, transformers over here, right? Transformer, and I'm like, what is going on here? This bus bar is supposed to be for the knobs, and that's tubes. Yikes. Alright, so, yeah, this is gonna go like this, I think. Does this look right, or does it go this way? We'll figure it out. Hopefully we don't screw this up again. But anyway, alright. Back at it. For the record, this is the first time I've used this green board. I think it's fiberglass or something like that. I like the black better. This seems to be a little bit softer, and this seems to be a little bit harder. I don't know. I like the black better. I mean, the green's cool, probably because you don't see it very often, so it's kind of unique. But the black material is, I think, superior. But again, I could be crazy. I just built a backwards amp, so don't listen to me. Alright, fellas, we're back to where we were before we realized we did everything backwards. And we're doing this again with the bus wire. I'm using 18 gauge bus wire for some of the grounds in here. And also this guy here for some of the hots coming off of the rectifier diodes. And that connects the heater elevation circuit and the first two filter caps. These two guys work together. I have split this ground. Rob Robinette, who designed this naked version here, and it's probably the same as the original Soldano, has all of the filter and reservoir caps grounded together. I'm going to separate those and have those on different grounds. Not exactly sure how that'll end up when all is said and done, but stay tuned for that. But yeah, there you go. So now we can populate the board and do everything else that needs to be done. Oh, so, okay. You might be asking yourself, why are you using bus wire like this? Kind of harkens back to the very old school OG true point-to-point builds and the flying bus wire we did in the high watt amp. I got that idea from an old RCA hi-fi unit that I was in one time. The thing was probably 75 years old, and it was still going. You know, but they had a bus wire that went from one corner of the chassis to the other, and then anything that needed to be grounded was tied onto that. And so, yeah, I thought it'd be kind of neat. This is the B+ wire right here. This is rigid. It doesn't need to flexible around like wire anywhere. There's nothing that's going to be touching it, or I don't know. I just like it. It's unique. It's eccentric. It's what we're doing until it doesn't work, and then if that happens, we'll do something else. But yeah, there you go. Just because I like it. There you go. There's your answer. I like it. Alright, fellas, we're back at this thing. It's a new day in the chapter of the SLO Naked. I see kind of how we get all messed up with the backwards turret board now. If we look at the original lighting situation here, if we look at the original layout, right, these dotted lines, you gotta kind of fold them up like that, and then the amp would sit like this when it's upright. But if you do it that way, the input jacks will be over here. And I'm used to like Fender style where the on-off switch is over here and the input jacks are over here. So, yeah, we kind of did it the hard way. But this is kind of how I want it. Guess it doesn't really matter. But, you know, whatever. It is what it is. This is what we're doing. All right. I had to order some more parts from Mouser to, you know, finish up all the turret board and the some other stuff. So those will be in hopefully middle of next week. But in the meantime, what we're doing now is kind of laying out where everything's going to go. So we're going to take all these pots. We're going to kind of lay them out where we want them, etc. And, you know, start drilling all the remaining holes that need to be drilled. And start making some decisions. I guess, well, I don't guess. I know with these high gain amps, we really got to be careful with lead dress and eliminating any noise or any capacitive coupling, you know, with like heaters and grids and stuff. So we're going to be using a bunch of shielded cable for our grid connections, at least from the input jacks and stuff like that. Because if you screw that up, it'll just screech and howl and oscillate and, you know, not do what you need it to do. All right, so that's what I'm doing. Wish me luck, and hopefully there are no more hiccups in this build. Here we go.
Isn't it like currently around 400 or something? But what if you just want to take your regular strap and tune it down now?
Tall and tan and young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes, each one she passes goes, oh. When she walks, she's like a samba that swings so cool and sways so gentle that when she passes, each one she passes goes, oh. Watch her so sadly. How can I tell her I love her? Yes, I would give my heart gladly. But each day when she walks to the sea, she looks straight ahead, not at me. Tall and tan and young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes I smile, but she doesn't see.
All right, fellas, I think we have all of our holes in here. Punched, drilled, and knocked out, and whatever else. When you're doing something like this, don't forget you have 3 dimensions here. As you can see here, it's starting to get a little tight. This is going to be the speaker ohmage selector switch, and then the speaker output. I think we're only going to have one. Might add another one. If we have one, that'll, well, we'll get to that later if we get to it. But yeah, 3 dimensions. And that'll also apply in component placement, lead dress, and stuff like that. But there you go. The knobs are cheated down just a little bit. And then these other guys are in the center line of the front. But alright, so now we're going to start bolting some crap to this and take it as far as we can take it. Sound like fun? But before we can do that, we're going to peel the protective plastic layer off. How are we going to do this here? You see all that? Yeah, this is real riveting entertainment. Let's peel off plastic. Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a project. I'll show it to you when it's done. Blammo! Look how pretty. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. The only thing that isn't super pretty is my knockout for the IEC power connector. What happened here? Oh, I got a little bit of glue on there. The guy that built this chassis, he does have that service available. He'll knock out the IEC. And I wanted to have him do that, but I don't know, there's some kind of communication issues. I couldn't figure out what he was asking because he wanted something for the, the coordinates or where to put it. And I just said, put it in the back near the corner, and he wasn't having it. But whatever. It's probably my fault for not understanding. But we have the nutserts and stuff to screw this down to a cabinet. The only thing that would be really even nicer than this is just a little welding tack here, and here. Grind it down a little bit to make it look pretty, because these aren't secured to the side. I mean, it's fine, but that's the only other little thing that I wish it had. But other than that, it's beautiful. And if I haven't already, I'll put the name of where I bought this on the screen. If you would like to have him build one for you. There you go. Nice. All right, let's do this. Do not forget your grommets for any holes that wires are going to pass through. Alright, and that's for the output transformer. We made a change from what we were doing originally. The choke is going to be here, but on the inside more than likely. And obviously the power transformer is here. And this guy is going to be here. We had them originally like that. And then these guys would have been in line. So we don't want that. So we turned them 90 degrees. Orientation to the choke. So he's going like this. The choke is going like this. And then the power transformer is going like this, up and down. Up and down, left and right, front to back. And hopefully that should eliminate any capacitive coupling and interference and all that nasty crap that we don't want. How fun is that? Alright, we're going to take a break. We're hungry. But we have all the tube sockets installed. We have the choke, power transformer, output transformer installed. Oh, it's starting to get heavy. Starting to get heavy. Hold on. We got that thing in the way. Get out of the way. Here's the other side. Looking pretty nice. We have an air vent because we changed the orientation of the output transformer, but that's fine. Yeah, so we're gonna have some lunch, and then we'll come back and we'll install all that crap and all the potentiometers, the indicator light, the on-off switch, and we'll be getting nearing the end of stuff that we can do until the mouse order arrives. Yeah, there you go. Rock on, dudes. Alright, fellas. Starting to look like a real amp. Power fuses, ohmage selector switch, output jack. All the sockets, we already saw that. All the pots are installed. Input jacks. Got the thingy for the indicator light, on-off switch. Up is on. I got the other board here. Trying to figure out, we still have to add, we're gonna have this hum balance pot, and then I'm gonna add a pot for adjusting the bias. So I'll probably build a little bracket for this, so this guy will be in here like this or something like that. We don't want to just drill a hole in the chassis and stick them in like that and have the the turny part of the pot here accessible from the outside, because it can get bumped, and people see a pot and they just feel compelled to twist it, which we don't want to have happen. This one's not as bad of an issue because it's not like a regular pot. Pardon me. You actually have to go out and get a tool to twist that one, and it's just the balance anyway. You can't do a whole lot of harm with that. But this guy here, the actual negative voltage that go to the grids of the power tubes, we're going to want to do that. Anyway, we'll worry about that later once we get the fuses and the primaries wired up there, and we'll find some space for it, but we're running low on space. Let's flip her over. Here we are. Here's the knobs I got for it. Nice little, I think it's called Zonk style, something like that. Kind of neat. But anyway, get the long view. Alrighty. So what are we going to do now? We are going to probably wire up the primary of the power transformer to the switch and the fuse, and maybe, oh, you know what? Maybe also the heater wires. My absolute favorite thing in the world to do. Wire up tube heaters. Alright, that's where we're at. Moving on.
So sadly.
Alright, fellas, we're back at this thing. We did a bunch of work. We have all the heater lines hooked up. I almost want to go back and unsolder those and twist those a little bit, but I was looking at other amps on pictures of other amps, and they don't do that, so it should be fine. We can always do it later, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully that's fine. Should be fine. I mean, the heater system in this amplifier, it's elevated and it's designed to be low noise and stuff, and with this stuff tightly twisted and in the corner here up against the chassis, we should be all right. So hopefully we won't get any extra noise for that. We got almost as much stuff done as we can do while we're waiting for the other parts to come in, but we can hook up the components to the input jack, so that's what we're going to do. Hang tight, here we go. Alright, we are working on the input jacks here. For the record, we're using recycled, I guess this is antenna hookup wire, coax. It's RG174. Just some stuff I got from Amazon a while back. Probably not the greatest stuff in the world, but it's not bad. It'll do the trick. It's RG174, and that's what all the cool kids seem to like to use, so that's what we're using. Anyway, I thought we'd take a look at how Rob Robinette made the naked version here. Let me put this on a stand so it'll be easier. Alright, hopefully you can see everything so we don't have to get the special effects department involved here. So the naked version is a simplified version of the original Soldano SLO. And for the most part, this amp has two input jacks. You're going to have a clean input jack, or if you plug your guitar into the other input jack, you'll get the overdrive. And the way we're doing that in this amp here is the clean input jack bypasses this first gain stage and then continues on through the circuit. Whereas if you plug into the overdrive jack, you get this first initial gain stage. It goes through the input jack. If there's nothing plugged in here, it goes through the shorting jack, and then it continues through the circuit. The original amp does things a little bit differently. Clean and overdrive both go into this first gain stage, and then depending upon which channel you're using, they take separate paths up here in the middle of the preamp. The overdrive on the simplified version here, the circuit is basically the same as the original amp, except the original amp has an effects loop in this area here before the tone stack, and the effects loop has been eliminated from the simplified version here. But everything else is essentially the same, so it should sound pretty legit. From what I understand, the way they designed the effects loop on the original, it wasn't great. I guess there were some problems with that, and I guess they kind of fixed that in later models, but whatever, that's neither here nor there. But the clean channel has its own separate, gain stages on the original. It comes in here, like I said, to this first gain stage. It gets attenuated, and then it gets mildly amplified or gained up, and then it mixes back down. Where does it mix? At the cold clipper. So if you're in the clean channel, you get it gets its own gain stage here, and it gets attenuation, and then it mixes back down with the overdrive channel here at the cold clipper, and then the ass end is all the same for everybody on both versions. So yeah, hopefully that explained some stuff. But it should sound pretty legit. As far as I can tell, the ass end is all the same. Long tail pair, phase inverter, and output stage, and everything else is the same as the original. So that's that. All right, back at it. Let's finish up the input jacks. Hell yeah, dudes. All right, fellas, I think we are at an end. Ding! We have a message. We are at an end for this session here. We have our shielded cables installed. And that's for, bear in mind that everything's backwards and upside down on my amp here. So the overdrive input, the clean input, and then we have an out and back in from the overdrive gain. Let's look at that on the schematic. So that's going to be this guy here. That's going to be this guy here. And there should be a volume pot, some overdrive gain. So that's coming off the pot. Yeah, that's, so yeah, right here, this guy here, or here, one of these guys. All shielded up. We got to take these precautions, especially in a high gain amp like this, and then all the other junk. Blah, 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 blah. And that's about as far as we can get until the parts arrive. And there was some other stuff, but we'll talk about it more once we progress along. All right, so it's going to be a couple days for me. It'll be a couple seconds for you. We'll see you then. Oh, yeah, I forgot what we wanted to talk about. The shielded cables. So it's got the central main conductor, and then it has a wrap of wire around it that we use to ground the shield. Ground it only on one end, and that's what we did. We have our... It's not as sloppy as it looks. Look, it's better in real life, but we did as good a job as we could. Anyway, so we have our two inputs being grounded here, which is being grounded through the jack to the chassis, and this guy here, the signal is going to the sweeper, and it's grounded to this lug here, which is the ground for this pot, which is connected back over here to that ground, and this will be the main ground for the circuit board. If we look at this, a lot of the preamp is going to be grounded out. Going to be grounded right here. Boom. And it gets grounded at the overdrive input jack. So obviously that needs to be securely mounted to the chassis and electrically bonded. Obviously we're using tooth washers on all of our pots and jacks and stuff like that, because that's just the way you do things if you want it to work well. Make sense? Alright, fellas, we're back at this. We got the parts that we needed. Hopefully that's the last order we'll need to place to complete this project. Put these standoffs on. Normally you'd probably use shorter screws and, you know, do one on one side and one on the other, but I think I'm just gonna blast it through like that, and on the top side of the chassis screw on a caps nut or something. Just out of convenience, because I'd have to cut all the screws and stuff and blah blah. It can always be changed later. What else are we doing? All right, gonna verify all the components are correct and they are in the right spots. And then I think we're going to solder down the bus wires, and then maybe tack solder the components, and then throw it in the chassis and start wiring it up. But if that plan changes, I'll let you know. Wish me luck. All right, fellas, there's a big jump in the amount of work that I've done on this amp from the previous clip and the next clip. Just had a lot of stuff going on here in the real world, a lot of stuff at work. The weather has been horrible, which is causing problems, so I didn't do any filming. But basically, all I did was just wire everything up. It was kind of paint by numbers using the layout here. But that was complicated by the fact that we are making a mirror image of what's on that. But whatever, wired it all up, and we will now resume the program. Yeah, and see what happens. All right, fellas, this is where we are at with the Soldano build. Started to dial it up and played the guitar through it. Sounded, it was making noise. Turned up the volume a little bit too much, and then so the plate wires needed to be swapped because it was in phase with the negative feedback, which makes positive feedback. If you've ever stuck a microphone up to a speaker before, you know that effect. Did that. Fired it up again, looking good on the current limiter. Took it off the current limiter, going straight through the variac, dialing it up. Everything's working well. I got it up to 110 volts from the wall. And this is where we are at right now. Got the bias set. And I get all my meters set up here. From 110 volts from the wall, we are dissipating like 9.8 watts, which is where we want to be maximum. That's 70% of 14 watt maximum of a 6v6. Yeah, and we had screaming hot plate voltage too. We were at like 433 volts on the plates, and we have 10 more volts to go from the wall. So if I were to crank it up to $120 from the wall, the plates would be at like 470 volts, and they're rated for 350. Even though everybody runs them hotter, they don't run them that damn hot. So this power transformer is not going to do it. So we're going to have to get a new power transformer for this. That's a little bit cooler. And that should make things work good. So we don't want to damage anything. So what I think we're going to do is get this guy right here, a 290 PAZ. Going to cost a few bucks, but I think it'll be worth it. All the controls work. I cranked up the master volume all the way. There was no oscillation, no instability. And I've been worried about that this whole build. Because it is a high gain amp, I was worried about noise and oscillations and instabilities that you hear about with other builders when they're trying to make a high gain amp. You know, if your lead dress is messed up or whatever, it's real easy to get capacitive coupling in the lead dress and just cause all sorts of havoc. But so far, sounds pretty good. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to take this guy out. We're going to have to spend a few bucks and get one of them. But hopefully it fits in the hole. If not, we'll just stuff it in the hole as hard as we can.
That's what she said.
Or something like that. But yeah, so looking good. Wait. Hold on. Looked up the specs for this power transformer. It's a CE distribution. Let me get this right. P-TF 22723. I believe it is for a Fender Tremolux or a Fender Vibrolux, which uses, drumroll please, 6L6s. Ooh, well, there's a friggin' problem. So we may not replace the transformer. We might replace the tubes. I need to think. The output transformer, 6.8K primary, is made for a 6L6 amp. So here we go. We don't need one of those. Let's dig through the tube stash and find some 6L6s. And wow, this sucker is going to be a ripper. Holy smokes. All right, hang tight. Hold, please. All right, how's the lighting here, guys? Pretty awesome, right? The light bulb blew out above us. So it went from bad to worse around here. We're going to try using these Sovtech 5881 WXTs. Wow, these are kind of vintage, huh? 0506. Is that 6th week of 1905? We're going to bump up the screen resistors from 470 ohms to 1K. And this is what I have on stock here. These are either probably 3 watt resistors. 5 watt is what all the cool kids use, but I don't have those. Actually, I probably do, but they're the big giant bricks that kind of flop around everywhere. But well, let's open the hood, take a look, and we'll do what we do. Hang tight. Does this look sketchy to you? A little bit. Yeah, that would not be conducive to a 6v6's life for sure. Plate current. No, plate voltage. Plate voltage. And that's plate current. That puts us around here, which is, I believe, oops, sorry guys, around 60%? Something like that. Alright, let's see if she makes some noise. Alright, can you see all that? Where'd we end up? 462.2 volts on the plates, 36.8 milliamps, right? We're just like a C here under 60%, which is a good place to be, I think. This might get loud. Whoops. Oh, you can't see me. You can't see me. You can't see me anyway. Who does that? Who does that? Who comes up with a lick like that? I mean, really. Wait for it. Nope, better. Son of a bitch, we built this Soldano. If you're wondering why that sounded kind of crappy, that's playing through that. So, yeah. That came out of the back of some piece of crap amp. And it's face down and it's covered with schematics, so... There, how does that look, huh? Pretty sweet. Here's our 5881s. So I don't know what to think about this. I was looking at the schematic, and it does call for a 650 volt center tap power transformer. So it's 325, 325, and that's what this is. But you end up with ridiculous amounts of plate voltage. I mean, 636s are rated for 350 volts maximum. It says RCA. I mean, they might know a thing or two about making tubes. And of course, everybody runs them a little hotter, but we would have been at 460. That's just, no. But anyway, seems very happy with the 5881s in here. These are running a little bit cool on the voltage side. But plate current is perfect. We're at 60%. I mean, yeah, nothing to complain about. It sounds beautiful. Cranked it up through a real amp. Maybe I'll play it for you. Hang tight. Alright, so I did a little bit of research and some reading around. And apparently, it's pretty common to use a 325 power transformer for a 6v6 push-pull amp, like your typical Fender Deluxe reverbs and stuff like that. And I guess it's also very common for plate volts to be 450 or even higher, which seems a little nuts. They're rated for 350 volts. Yeah, that's probably conservative, but 100 volts over max rating. I mean, just because everyone does it doesn't, to me, seem like it's right. I don't know. It probably wasn't that high back in the day because we had lower wall voltages, 117, 115, 110 even. And that would put you down in the low 400s. So I think with modern amps, instead of sticking to Fender spec, the transformers they use, a 325, 0325 should probably be like a 300, 0300, to account for that. Because, like I said, I was getting like 470 at 120 volts. And what if the voltage goes up to 125? Where we get 500 volts on a 6v6? That's nuts. Anyway, we did the math. And the power transformer, the output transformer, this is all perfectly viable to run these 5881s. These are very comfortably running. These should last 20 years unless you're playing it every single day at Madison Square Garden at 10 on 10. These should probably last a good 20 years. So that's my thoughts on that. Put your thoughts down below in the comments about this ridiculous plate voltage we're putting on tubes, and tell me I'm crazy, tell me I'm right. Let us all know. Alright, fellas, I've been playing the amp a little bit. Sounds amazeballs. Sounds better than me. I have a bit of a cold. Runs nice and stable, but we are getting a little bit of noise. A little bit of a hum. Not bad. Preamp gain doesn't affect the noise level. The master volume does. It's not too bad. I mean, at the point where it gets annoying, you have the master volume turned up so loud that if you were to play the guitar, it would probably melt paint off the walls. But it can be improved. So what I think the problem is here is Rob had us ground these guys here. These are the I guess the grounds for the phase inverter tube or section end up here. Grounded to the back of the pot, and I hate grounding to the back of pots. And I forget why I actually did it, probably out of convenience, because I was kind of eager to get this amp build finished. So that's what I did. What we want to do is ground everything the same place where it has its filtering. So this, who is it? This is the phase inverter filter stage. This 40 microfarad cap. If we follow that ground, it goes to this ground point right here. So what I'm going to do is remove these two components, this cap and this resistor, that get grounded at the pot, and we're going to ground them over here where the phase inverter gets its filtering from. Alright, and hopefully that will eliminate some noise. So let me do that and I'll let you know. Hang tight. Oh god, so close yet so far. Dang it. Alright, we did that little fix, and we're still getting a little bit of noise. Obviously there's going to be some hiss in a high gain amp, the preamp gain. There's no way around that. The bottom is unshielded, so, and we're surrounded by lights and computers and stuff, so we can expect a bit of noise. Cranking up the master volume, if you can hear it. So we are getting a bit of 120 hertz hum. I believe that is. I mean, at that volume, if I were to play the guitar at that volume, it would, you know, blow a hole in the ceiling here. So I don't know how much of that is my shitty ground scheme or lead dress or what. We'll keep poking around with that. And maybe that's just, you know, I mean, it's going to make some noise because it's just the design of a high gain amp. But we'll play around with that some more, and if I learn anything, I will let you know. All right, we did that. And that helped the noise level slightly. But we're still dealing with it. I think... Oh, this is going to be backwards. Can we get some light over here? Where's Mr. Pointer? We're a mess. So I separated the reservoir grounding from the screen and the phase inverter grounding here. Based on things that I saw the cool kids doing in their videos. But further research is telling me that's probably a bad idea. So what I should do here is have the screen supply grounded with the reservoir caps to one place with the center tap of the power transformer, and then the phase inverter and the negative bias can be grounded together and still do what they're doing over here. So we got to get this bus wire out of here and move them over to connect it to the res. And we'll see if that helps. We'll get to the bottom of this. All right, here is the fix, if you can see it. We have the two reservoir caps, and then the screen supply. They're all grounded together, going to this ground point here with the center tap of the power transformer. Then we have phase inverter, negative bias supply, and they're all getting grounded over here, as well as the ass end of the phase inverter tube through the presence knob. All right, let's see if that helped. All right, we got it fired up. Yeah, that definitely helped. Absolutely. Let's see here. Let's crank up the master volume. I mean, we're still getting a little bit of hum, but it's about like half as much as it was before. And I think it's all 120. We don't have any more 60 hertz. Well, maybe we do. There's like a but I think that's just, you know, it is what it is. Guitar's noisy, single coils. But again, the master volume's halfway up. This is just ridiculously loud. Yeah, you'll hurt somebody at that volume. Probably yourself. Pizza, pizza. Alright, fellas, I'm going to end the video here. Like we did with the high watt, I'm going to do a demo video separate because it will be copyright claimed. Because I like to cover songs. And that's what happens every single time. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. I want to thank Danny for sending me all the stuff, or a lot of the stuff, the important stuff, to build this amplifier. And we learned a lot, and there will be updates on this as we learn stuff and we tinker around and, you know, see if we can get the noise level even better than it is already. And, you know, as we talked about the tube situation and the high plate voltage, there will be updates on this. But give me a little bit and I will put together a sound demo of this beautiful Rob Robinette design super lead overdrive simplified version of this Soldano amp. I've been playing it through the real speakers, and wow, this sucker is amazing. So something to look forward to. Wish me luck on recording that demo, and hopefully that'll be out soon. And I just want to thank everyone for watching, and thank my Patreon supporters and commenters and subscribers and viewers and everyone else. All right, everybody, rock on and prosper. Bye, guys.
Done.